Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Rapid Down right here on Rapid Television. Thanks to Victor Ijoma for giving us the sporting update. And of course, fingers across to see what the Super Eagles are going to do within this AFCON season. We hope that they actually come out victorious as well. My name is Victor. Okay, once again, good morning to you and welcome to the big conversation. And today we are looking at the recent U.S. airstrike in Sokoto State, Nigeria, and what it means for our country's security. Now, recall that on Christmas Day, December 25th, 2025, the United States carried out airstrikes targeting ISIS-linked militant groups operating in Sokoto State, Nigeria. And these groups were believed to be planning attacks and running bases that threatened communities in the Northwest. The strikes were based on shared intelligence between Nigeria and the U.S., aiming to stop extremist violence before it could harm more people. While the U.S. says that the operation was precise and focused on militants, the incident, of course, has sparked questions about sovereignty, local security, strategies, and the safety of civilians here in our country, Nigeria. Do record that prior to this very time, the United States has also said Nigeria, or rather prescribed Nigeria to be a country of particular concern. Where today we are joined by Caleb Echoga, a security expert who is going to help us break down the impact of this airstrike and what it could mean for Nigeria's security moving forward. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for being part of the conversation.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, it's good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Now let's talk about your stance, basically. What do you make of the airstrike, by the United States here in Nigeria?
Well, for me, as a Nigerian, right, I'm happy about it.
Okay.
To be honest, I'm happy about it. I think for too long a time, it has looked like, bandits, terrorists, whatever nomenclature you decide to describe, these criminal elements that have, thrown the country into mayhem and confusion. It just seemed like having a field day. Yeah. In fact, in the last couple of months, it's been like every other day, we have reason as a country to cry. If it's not school kids that have been abducted, right? It's people who are being killed, in their farms, at home. So it was just stories of atrocities and all of that. And I mean, for the first time in a very long time, on Christmas Day, maybe pockets of, very isolated incidences, but for the very first time on Christmas Day, people could actually celebrate Christmas without any major news of, of violence. So, I mean, on a general note, my opinion about it, I think it's a welcome development. The nitty-gritties of all of that, right, I believe is what we are here to discuss.
Definitely. And of course, there's been talks all around the social space. Okay. Especially because the U.S. were the one who came into Nigeria. Yes. According to them, it was shared intelligence. Okay. But does this actually mean that Nigerians or the Nigerian security doesn't have what it takes to fight insurgents or the bandits on our own?
So, I do not think, I wouldn't say Nigeria does not have what it takes to fight insurgency. What I would say is collaborative efforts, regardless, right, are very, very important. I mean, like I said initially, yes, I'm happy about, the generality of the strike, but it doesn't end at that. What is also more important, is where you have this sort of partnerships, it shouldn't be international organizations like the United Nations or even superpowers like the United States. There shouldn't be substitutes for local security. Okay. Right? They should rather focus on also building local capacity. Because if you do not build local capacity, there's this constant reliance, on these foreign powers and all of that. So it's not as if Nigeria cannot handle these things, but there's an obvious want of capacity. And perhaps in the technology, obviously in the technology, you cannot match the United States. Surely. The precision, the excellence with which, they can hit targets. I mean, this missile was shot from a ship at Gulf of Guinea, straight to the targets in Sokoto State. So Nigeria has a level of capacity, but it's limited.
Okay.
And collaboration, international collaboration, international help is very much needed, especially now that, this insurgency has become Hydra-headed.
Right.
Yes.
And of course, recently we saw how Nigeria went down to Benin Republic
Okay.
to actually foil the coup.
Yes.
That was our Nigerian Air Force. They were there to
Yes.
foil that particular situation.
Yes.
And whilst they went there, we
Yes.
had these issues going on here in Nigeria. And over time, the Nigerian military has been referred to as the best when it comes to foot soldiers.
Okay.
Yes, you talked about collaboration, yes, but do you really think that we lack that capacity in all holistic nature as it is?
So, yes, I still maintain that we lack that capacity. And why I say so is because regardless of, the tools, the weaponry that you have at your disposal,
Yeah.
where there is the lack of a political will to end insurgency, which is what I believe is part of is part of the things the Nigerian government, suffers from.
Yeah.
Right? It's also a lack of capacity. So perhaps maybe some foreign, institution or some foreign government, they have to force the hands of the Nigerian state to do what it's supposed to do.
But the argument, anyways, that it might not be lack of capacity.
Okay.
Right? Some are saying that it is basically politicking, as it is. And those are some of the things that we've heard analysts talk about.
Okay.
That Nigerian soldiers have the capacity.
Yes.
But it seems like it is more centered on the political will
Yes.
to do what needs to be done.
Yes. So that's why I'm saying even the ability to exert political will,
Yeah.
right, which to a large extent you can even consider as discretionary.
Okay.
Even the ability to exert that political will, where you do not exert it or use it when you're supposed to use it,
Yeah.
it is also a capacity problem. I mean, if we're being honest, I'll give you a very common example.
Okay.
The Sunday Jackson case, right? The young man who was attacked on the farm.
Yeah.
The trial,
Self-defense.
exactly, self-defense. The trial court convicted him. Court of Appeal also convicted him.
Yeah.
Up to the Supreme Court. We had only one dissenting judgment from Helen, Justice Helen of the Supreme Court. Only one. It took, all of this, back and forth.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, on Christmas Day, we're hearing that Sunday Jackson has been released. Are you trying to tell me that from when that incident took place in Adamawa, there was nobody could have, exercised the right? So what I'm saying in essence is the inability to also exercise political discretion is also a lack of capacity. But what happened? As soon as the United States government started engaging, all of a sudden, that political will,
coming on board.
yes, came out.
Yeah.
So it's not always the lack of training or the ability to have, missiles in your arsenal that is a capacity issue. The ability of the persons that you have in government to do what they are supposed to do is a capacity problem too.
Now, there's also some arguments, again, by analysts.
Yes.
Now, do recall that, first of all, the United States actually referred to Nigeria as a country of particular concern.
Okay.
That was one. And at some point, they came up with the narrative that there is Christian genocide here in the country, Nigeria, which is also the premise upon which they came out for this particular airstrike. Now, there has been arguments that there is terrorism, but it is not religious-based as it is. So having the United States come out to say that, this particular airstrike was based on the fact that, Christians are being killed in Nigeria, does this not cause a mistrust, in the system as well and the diplomatic, ties as it is?
Okay. The question of Christian genocide, for me, with all that has happened, I believe if over a period of time, people have suffered certain kinds of attacks, people of Christian faith, and they have, come out to the international communities to complain, to shout, to paint their narrative, to say we are being killed. I mean, these are people that have lost loved ones, they've lost family, they've had their means of livelihood, destroyed. And it looks like hands of government is being folded. And they've been able to draw international sympathy. However, they've been able to draw that international sympathy. And seems like for the first time in a long time, we're getting that kind of coverage.
Yeah.
I do not think anybody should dictate to them how they should cry about what they've suffered. So the narrative of Christian genocide, it's a means to an end.
Okay.
Has it worked to bring global attention to a very significant problem? Yes. If people that have also suffered these kinds of attacks, maybe of other faiths, of other religions, then it also behoves on you to draw that kind of attention to yourself. So the question of Christian genocide or no Christian genocide, I think is irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. What is important, right, is that people are being killed in Nigeria. If the vehicle to bring in a solution to it is an advocacy that the prosecution of Christians has been taking place, then by all means, I do not have a problem with it.
Okay.
I honestly do not.
All right.
I honestly do not.
We hear that community leaders have come out to say that
Yes.
after the airstrike,
Yes.
the bandits,
Yes.
they left that particular base,
Yes.
and they moved into some other rural communities, still within the same area.
Yes.
Now, of course, the airstrike was basically aimed at dismantling these individuals.
Yes.
But if they move from their base to other smaller parts of the country, has it been achieved? Is there not still a spread of these bandits to other parts of Nigeria?
What is important is the fact that an airstrike has taken place. We are still waiting for, possibly more video confirmation of, the level of destruction or the level of havoc those airstrike has been able to inflict, on these terrorists, at their camps. It has done something significant, which is what I think we should focus on. It has, for the first time, put fear in the minds of these people who have felt that they will always have a field day. So, whether or not they have run from the base that they are still on the surface of the earth. I mean, we were hearing ridiculous things like, oh, they are in the forest, bombs cannot hit the forest. If the American government and the United, through the United States African Command, has been able to hit them in Sokoto with that level of precision, it also tells you, it has also shown that, you know what, wherever you are, we know where you are, and we can hit you decisively. So, for me, it doesn't matter whether they've gone to other enclaves and all of that. I mean, people were expecting, prior to now, we're expecting that, oh, maybe the missiles will be struck at Sambisa or maybe somewhere in Borno, somewhere in the northeast where we believe are Boko Haram strongholds and all of that. But they went to Sokoto State. So that tells you the importance of intelligence. Yes, intelligence gathering can look slow. It can look boring. But when results come out, everybody, oh wow, also these people had, ISIS had camps here and all of that. So this action that has taken place has been on the basis of proper intelligence gathering and proper, military work, proper intelligence work, and that's why we've seen the results happen. So wherever they go to, as long as these efforts are sustained, there's no hiding place for them.
Still, there are also arguments, that the airstrike could also lead to external aggressions. Where these bandits can actually go in again and recruit some extremists back into the country, Nigeria. Of course, you've mentioned, we've talked about them moving from their base to other rural communities. But in a situation where they go ahead to recruit extremists from, the borders back into the country, how can this again now be sorted out? Because if there's external aggression, it might be falling external aggression.
So when you say external aggression, is your reference to
the
external aggression from non-state actors, the extremists?
Yes, exactly.
So whether it will fuel external aggression, I think what is important at the end of the day is that these gains that we've made, right? I was seeing some reports that about 750, terrorists, whether in the last month or in the last 2 months, have been neutralized by the Nigerian army and all of that. All these little gains, right, that we've recorded. For the first time in a long time, we've seen the president, appoint a military person that actually understands the dynamics of warfare, as opposed to career politicians, right? He has appointed him, as the Minister of Defense. Perhaps things that he could not do as Chief of Defense Staff, right? He's now within the corridors of power to do the relevant politicking. Now, body language is very, very important. And the seriousness that you show to certain issues is also very, very important. We've had General Christopher, make certain statements and all of that, right? We pray that, he follows through on those statements. What I'm saying in essence is the little sustained victories that we've had in the past months, more recently with these airstrikes, regardless of whether these terrorists are going to attack from within or whether they are going to come from the Sahel or our very porous borders, right? What is important is that we sustain the momentum. If we keep up the momentum, we beef up security. The Minister of Defense has been talking about fencing its borders, fencing Nigeria's borders. Why is that impossible? We have over 1,000 kilometers of borders. Some countries have done it. I think Egypt has done it with some of, even its supposed, Arab neighbors. They've successfully. So why can't Nigeria do that? So regardless of whether the aggression is coming internally or there will be some external recruitment, if we sustain this momentum, we do the necessary reforms, we arm our soldiers, we intensify, give them better incentives and all of that. It doesn't really matter whether the aggression is internal or external. We'll be able to beat them where it matters.
All right, let's talk about the legality of these attacks. First off, was Nigeria required to approve that airstrike first? And or can the U.S. actually go on to bring in that airstrike without the approval of Nigeria, using the premise of their claims of terrorism going on in the country, Nigeria?
Yes. So, in this Nigerian situation, I do not think we have so much of a legal problem with what has happened. Why I say so, from a legal standpoint, is because there was an obvious, when you talk about consent for airstrikes by host countries, what I mean by host countries, the countries where the terrorist activities are taking place, right? The consent is usually in two folds. It's either an implied consent or an express consent. In this case, we had a clear case of an express consent. As when the statement, came out, from Trump, when United States African Command made the statement, when Pete, the Secretary of Defense Minister, the Nigerian authorities also collaborated this story. So the express, the consent was clearly expressed. So in this our instance, it doesn't really, the issues of the legality of the strike does not really come to fore. But your question as regards whether the United States could have, let's just assume that that consent was not given, or let's even assume, that the Nigerian government is just trying to save face and say, yes, although it's controversial, right? But a state can. The self-defense, the self-defense principle, right, under Article 51 of the United Charter, actually allows, a state to carry out airstrikes in another state, in another country, on the basis of the unwilling or unable principle. Unwilling or unable principle simply means, you have terrorists operating in a particular state that can cause your own country, some significant harm. And either that state is unwilling, to do what they are supposed to do to contain these terrorist activities, or they are unable to do so. Unable meaning they do not have the wherewithal, they do not have the means to contain these terrorists. Then by all means, you cannot wait for this havoc to be, inflicted on on you. You have to take the next, but like I said, it's highly controversial.
Okay.
You now have to go into, you know, the nitty-gritties of, you know, was the threat an imminent threat? You know, was it proportional? The steps that you took, a grenade cannot be thrown in your country that kills a chicken and a goat, and then you release a nuclear weapon on another country in the name of. So it's tricky, right? But at the end of the day, if the silent or the silent principles that govern, you know, international law are observed, respect for human life, consideration for, you know, minimizing casualties and all of that. If all of those things, you know, are checked, then by all means, a country can actually go ahead to do that. It's a totally different case if it's the early situations, or the simpler situations of where you have self-defense just on the face of it. You are attacked, you know, on the basis of that attack, you retaliate. You know, your retaliation is proportionate. Your retaliation is necessary, and of course you notify, you know, the United Nations Security Council. In such instances, I mean, it's totally fine. It's also fine in instances where, you know, you take a preemptive step to stop attacks that, you know, are imminent. I think in the 80s, Israel did that with, I think, Iraq at the time, because Iraq was developing a nuclear program. And of course, if Iraq was developing a nuclear program, their fears were this will obviously be used against us, because we are Iraq's biggest enemy in the Middle East. So they took out, they carried out that action. We've also had instances across the globe where, you know, such preemptive steps have been taken.
All right. Say, for instance, because we've not heard of the casualties as it is yet, but if citizens were harmed, who would have taken the responsibilities? Is it the Nigerian government, the U.S. government, or the both of them together?
I think both of them will take the responsibility for it, especially, and I mean, Nigeria will be in a it will be an embarrassment. It will be a national embarrassment for the Nigerian government to now come out and say, no, it is the United States that went ahead. But you released the statement literally, you know, minutes or at best a couple of hours after the statement from the US that we collaborated, we did this together, we provided intelligence. So if you did in fact provide intelligence, it is assumed that you even know your terrain better. So both of them will bear that responsibility. But I doubt we've had civilian casualties.
Yeah, because they did mention that, of course, due to the intelligence that was shared amongst them.
There was precision.
It was precision as it is. But let's talk about a balance now for the need for foreign help in fighting terrorism, which is how Nigeria can actually get a balance. You know, for the need of foreign help in fighting terrorism with its legal obligations to protect citizens and, of course, territory as it is. How do we balance this whilst we're seeking for the foreign help?
Okay. Like I said earlier, yes, the airstrikes are a welcome development. It shows that regardless of the undertones or how we're able to get here, you know, some people have said it's the Christian genocide. Some people have said it's Donald Trump playing to the dictates of, you know, the evangelical church in the United States, you know, that have said you cannot be president here, and, you know, our brothers in the Christian faith are being slaughtered all the way in Nigeria. Regardless of all of that, these strikes have happened. I believe they are a welcome development, but we cannot stop there. We shouldn't allow it to become a Pyrrhic victory, a momentary victory, and then tomorrow we are back on the defensive. What is important is developing local capacity, ensuring that we have strong institutions, regardless of whether government changes or not. Government is supposed to be a continuum. We do not want another president that will come and is now unable to engage foreign help to intervene in our situation. capacity building is important, whether it's training for our soldiers that are already considered one of the best foot soldiers in the world, whether it's, getting more aid or, certain technological advancements in weaponry are being given to us. Regardless, there's a serious need for capacity building because we cannot continue to rely on this. What if they get tired of us tomorrow? I mean, it has happened. America was in Afghanistan for over 20 years. At the end of the day, they just woke up one morning and exited. And now Afghanistan is under Taliban control. Yeah. Exactly. In Libya too, with Gaddafi, he was accused of so many things and whatnot. The Obama administration went in there, did what they did. Libya is even, all that has happened in Libya is considered a failed state, to a very large extent. It's all of, the weaponry from all those military action that is now even contributing. All of those things have come down to, the Sahel. It's part of the insecurity that we are facing today. Right. So focus should be on building this local capacity, trainings, continued engagement, and yes, and even strong legal frameworks. Okay. For instance, some of these things that are captured in the UN Charter, we also need some sort of regulation or pure legislations that can, dictate in specifics our security partnerships. With this, most of these things are not codified. Most of these things are based on the UN Charter, which is very, very broad. We need domesticated legislation that will talk about issues of these principles like proportionality, legal necessity, and all of that. You codify them properly so that tomorrow, when we are getting these kinds of help, right, and even if we want to challenge our own government, right? It's the law is clear, the law is easy, the courts are there, and we can properly institute, the right actions to hold the appropriate parties responsible.
Now, of course, you've mentioned in passing, because I was about to go to the point where over-reliance on this foreign help, as it is, because you've already mentioned it. What if they get tired of us, you said? Most times, it seems like now that the US have come in to intervene in this matter, somehow there's a possibility that the bulk of the work might not be left for the US to continue in fighting the terrorists in our nation, Nigeria. I don't recall that the conversation about state police has been on for quite some time. In fact, very recently, the president did mention that state police must work in line with, of course, the local government autonomy, but that aside. But the talks about state policing has been there for a long time, and you've been talking about building local capacity as it is. Do you see us actually bringing the state police in and making it functional with all of the controversies surrounding it now, which of course is one of state policing basically is one of those local capacities that we should be looking into. But do you see us establishing the state police anytime soon?
I think we should have had state police as early as yesterday or as early as some 20, 30 years ago. I mean, when you go you're traveling and you see soldiers on the road, or you see military checkpoints, or even within towns, you're seeing heavy military presence. It's not supposed to be so. It doesn't happen when you go to other saner climes. You hardly see military people are either containing external aggression, or they are in the barracks or somewhere else. The first line of defense anywhere is the police, because the police are the people that are supposed to relate with the locals, the communities. They're supposed to know who are the strangers that have walked into our community. State police is important. It is long overdue. Some states in the core north already have some sort of semblance of the state police. In places like Kano, you have like the Hishba, for Sharia law and all of that. So it shows that, and who is funding, Hishba to carry out its operations? It's the state government, right? So it shows that states can sustain, this police, state police infrastructure. The concern has always been, governors will abuse it, they will use it to settle political scores and all of that. Let us have it first. And what is it called? And assess how well it will work. You cannot, they say you miss 100% of the shots that you do not take.
Surely.
We cannot just wait and say, oh, it will be abused and then we'll never do it. Let's try it.
Right.
When we fail, we keep modifying it until we get it right. But that conversation is long overdue. State police should be a thing in Nigeria, fully entrenched and fully functional, and we'll just keep correcting as we go.
Definitely. Of course, you mentioned one of those concerns that is being there on the social space. While that concern is there, whilst we've had conversation with various other analysts,
yes,
the question they always come up to ask is, if the governors or the government, is concerned that state police is going to be abused, is the Nigerian police force not abused as it is already?
Exactly. The Nigerian police is already being abused to a large extent. When it's very difficult, except maybe you have instances where the people are just really tired of a particular government and they are ready for regime change, and they come out and it becomes a do or die affair, and they say this particular party must leave our state. So regardless of the threats of intimidation, the federal might through the police and the military, they come out, vote en masse, they defend their votes and all of that. It's already been abused at the center. So you might as well just take it to the states. And then we've copied a whole lot of things from the United States. Our constitution, our presidential system of government, we've seen a lot of things work. These things are not rocket science. They've been implemented in other states, in other countries, and it has worked, albeit, the complexity of those societies. In America, you have blacks, you have Muslims, you have Christians, you have Jews, you have people of white skin, you have Caucasians, Indians. All of these people are living together. But you still have institutions of government that are stronger than individuals. So in America, the FBI, for instance, has jurisdiction over, certain matters, federal crimes as they are. Why not we adopt a system where certain things, right, of major concern fall within the purview of, the federal police, right? And then you leave other things for the states to do. In such a way, you would achieve this. If you are afraid that, it will be abused, then you leave certain sensitive matters for a federal, supposedly non-biased, police force to come on board and do what they need to do. Yes.
And of course, we've been talking with Caleb Echoga, a security expert and of course a lawyer. But right now we need to go on a break. When we'll come back, we'll continue with the conversation centered around the U.S. airstrikes and what it means for Nigerian security moving forward. Just stay with us.
This is Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN. We connect people, power stories, and amplify voices. On Rapid TV, we're rooted in culture and your window to the stories that matter. From news to lifestyle, we inform, entertain, and uplift. Join Rapid TV on Star Times Channel 176, Nightcom Sat. On Rapid FM, we speak your language from the soulful airwaves of Umuahia to the vibrant culture of Port Harcourt and beyond. More than broadcasters, we're creators, amplifying that voice within with powerful content across TV, radio, and digital. Join us at rbnradiotv.com and all our social media handles. One network, one voice. Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN, the sound of your city. Rooted in truth, driven by impact.
Are you missing out on interviews, music, entertainment, thought-provoking discussions, and more? Don't sweat it, man. We've got you covered. No matter where you are, be part of the action 24/7, online and live.
Caesar Radio.
On Facebook, it's Rapid FM Umuahia. On Instagram, it's official Rapid FM. And on X, it is Rapid FM 965. Tune in to Rapid 96.5 FM or listen to us live on our website at www.rapidfm965.com or radiogarden.com. Better yet, get our mobile app from the Google Play Store. Catch the pulse of the Southeast on Rapid 96.5 FM, the sound of your city.
Hey, Oyanam, all Caesar Radio.
My name is Faith Dr. Joseph.
Name is Martha Alu.
My name is Victor Arke.
My name is Divine Alex.
My name is Estelle Ben.
My name is Arthur James Brooks.
My name is Godwin Sunday.
I am Ijoma Victor.
My name is Cynthia Agbo.
Josephine Bichu.
I bet you already know that this is
Rapid Television.
Welcome back. You're still watching Rapid Down right here on Rapid Television. And of course, we've been having conversations centered around the U.S. airstrike here in Nigeria, Sokoto State precisely. And of course, to recall that the United States president did come out on the social media space to say that due to, on his discretion, direction rather, that they carried out a precision airstrike here in Nigeria. The Minister of Foreign Affairs as well came out to say, well, this was in collaboration with Nigeria and, of course, the United States as it is. But we've been talking about what this means for Nigeria. And our guest has been Caleb Echoga, a security expert and a lawyer. Once again, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, let's ask the next question.
Okay.
What does this mean for the security of Nigeria as it is right now, moving forward?
Yes. As I've stated earlier on the show, I believe it's a welcome development. For the very first time in a long time, Nigerians actually feel that there is some seriousness, decisive action being taken, against criminal activity, terrorism, banditry, whatever name you choose to call it.
Yeah.
From the reshuffling of the service chiefs to the appointment of the current Minister of Defense, which many people believe is, for a long time, we now finally have, a round peg in a round hole, not just career politicians, occupying certain offices. We've also now had collaborations between the Nigerian government and the United States, for discussions on capacity building, the sale of weapons and all of that. So moving forward for Nigeria, I think we're in a good place.
Okay.
But our government should not rest on its oars. This is the best time to intensify efforts. From what we've had, even from the locals, from reports I've listened to, they said there's been a whole lot of there's been chaos, literally chaos in the enemy camp.
Yeah.
Running away. They said these people had gotten so comfortable that they had gone into the forest, built camps. They were having, they were digging boreholes, they were having wells, they were pretty much building their own community.
Yeah.
So with so much comfort. But to hear that, they are now on the run, it's a perfect time for even our ground troops, to advance forward, flush them out of these enclaves that they are, maintain the pressure on them. The conversations around who the sponsors of terrorism are, right? Who are they? Should be able to, the Nigerian government should not be afraid to name and shame them. And I think this is where civil society groups play a very important role.
Okay.
This pressure, or groups, whatever groups, civil society, religious groups, however the Nigerians in the diaspora, these collective efforts that have even given us this attention globally, those efforts should be intensified. If it's these efforts that have brought us this success, right, albeit little, these efforts can be intensified for the persons who are actually sponsoring these things, right, to be named, publicly shamed. They should be prosecuted, their assets should be seized. We should be able to nip these things in their bud. Because how do you explain the kind of weaponry you see some of these terrorists hold?
Yeah.
Even an AK-47 rifle, right? It's not a cheap equipment even on the black market. These things runs into thousands of dollars. You see them holding RPGs. You see them holding, you know, anti-aircraft machinery. Who is fueling their cars? Who is buying food for them? There are people who are hell-bent on ensuring that, you know, there's a destabilization in Nigeria, and whatever ideology that they fancy, right, is sponsored. So this pressure, both you know, the kinetic approach of bombarding them, attacking them wherever they are, should continue. But besides that, collaborative efforts in terms of pushing for policy reforms, pushing for prosecution, pushing for a stronger judiciary, pushing for even an effective judicial system, right? All of these things must continue hand in hand. And if we do that, I'm very sure that terrorism, one day we can say that terrorism is now a thing of the past, and we can now, you know, leave it in darker pages of our history.
Right.
Yes.
Now, so some of the challenges we've seen as well, especially with the infiltration of the bandits into Nigeria, has been the situation of the porous border that we have, like from Lake Chad, the Middle Belt, and all of that. Now, how do we ensure that our borders are more protected now, to ensure that these bandits, once, as it seems right now, it seems like they are running out of the country, right, because of the shake as it is. How do we ensure that once they leave, they don't get to come back into Nigeria anymore?
Yes. So, two things. You know, when this thing is being said, people think it's a joke, or they feel it's people have done it. Nigeria can fence its borders. Okay. Yes, we can do that. And if we can achieve fencing of our borders, regardless of the time that it takes, it will boost our security infrastructure, our security network, and all of that. Because if you have fenced borders with proper, you know, technology, you have sensors, you know where the border is being breached and all of that, in real time, you can quickly respond, deploy either drones, or you deploy foot personnel to quickly go to those places and address the situation there. Nigeria can do that. That's on the one hand. On the second hand, a lot of things are going wrong in ECOWAS. You know, our neighbors, our francophone neighbors, Chad, Mali, Burkina Faso, military regimes have now sprung up there. And it's my problem with military regimes. They always come and claim, oh, corruption is too much, the government is not doing what it's supposed to do. And then when they come on board, they make a mess of the entire situation. The insecurity or terrorist activities that have been going on in places like Mali, right, and Burkina Faso prior to the toppling of democratically elected government have even worsened. Mali, as of today, has 40% of its what is it called? Its territory under the control of this, you know, Islamic extremists and all of that. Nigeria, as the giant of Africa, I still hope that we can maintain that. I just hope it's no longer past glory. Nigeria needs to muster the necessary strength. If it needs the help of the United Nations, if it needs the help of, you know, bigger countries in terms of, you know, superpowers and all of that, if we need all of them, you know, to come to the table, right, and push for, you know, the restoration of civilian rule in some of these countries, and they can now all work together to ensure that the Lake Chad area, the Sahel area, is more stable. It also helps us. So this thing now boils down to a geopolitical issue. ECOWAS is already weakened. This government didn't really, you know, commence its relations on the ECOWAS stage on very good footing. You know, it had been at loggerheads with some of the member states and all of that. And you cannot achieve regional security when you cannot see eye to eye with your neighbors. Even Niger Republic, there was, I think earlier in the year or last year, you know, there were concerns that Nigeria wanted to, you know, invade Niger, and it now became an ethnic, religious, and a political thing altogether. You cannot secure your country if your neighbors, right, are not participating in that kind of. So we must invest, call the necessary global attention to what is happening around Lake Chad and the Sahel. When we get these collaborative efforts on track, it will go a long way in solving this crisis.
Let's conclude with the question on public perception, of course, national cohesion, because there are mixed reactions about this particular airstrike from the United States. Some persons actually support, others did not support that, basically. So there is loss of public perception as it is. But how can our leaders wade into this situation to create a better public perception so as to not exacerbate religious and ethnic tensions as it is?
The people, what I would say is, the people who are complaining about this airstrike should tell us what their agenda really is. If you say, oh, it's not Christians that are being killed, it is not a religious affair, right? Why are you suddenly worried, and why are you complaining, you know, and shouting when the aggressor, you know, these criminals are being targeted? If your concern is terrorism is bad, it is killing Christians and Muslims alike, if action is now being, decisive action is now being taken, we are not hearing of civilian casualties. Why are you concerned as to whether this action has been taking place? So this person should come out and tell us their agenda. It's either two things. It's either they are ignorant or they are sympathetic to the cause of terrorism, banditry, and all the nonsense that, you know, has been going on for far too long. For well-meaning Nigerians, right, who are concerned, who have even suffered, you know, the brunt of, you know, this insecurity, I would encourage that we continue to, you know, lend our voices to the issue, constructively engage, continue to call both local and international attention to this problem, because that's the only way within which we know we'll be able to effectively, you know, defeat this thing. So for me, there is no question of mixed reactions. The persons who are not happy about this, like I said, are either ignorant people or there are people that are sympathetic to the cause of terrorism or are profiteering from it.
That's right. Thank you so much, sir, for your time with us this morning. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
This is where we're going to call it a wrap on the conversation. Now, we do know that the airstrike in Sokoto State might have weakened the bandits in the state. But of course, it also highlights the need for Nigeria to also strengthen their security apparatus to ensure that we have the capacity, you know, to fight banditry and terrorism on our own, you know, as it is. But of course, do remember that you can follow us on all our social media pages across all platforms at Rapid TV. And of course, you can always rewatch every of our episode on our YouTube platform, which is at official Rapid TV. And wherever you are in the world, you can always watch us live using our website, www.arabianradiotv.com. My name is Victor Arki, and I will see you tomorrow.